All right, welcome back folks. It is time for our next 223 video. The bullet for today is one that we have had some really good success with. It is the 77 grain Berger OTM Tactical. So far we've tested this bullet with AR comp and accurate 2520 and 8208 XBR, and they've been some of the best groups we've ever shot with my gun. So if we don't see some good shooting today, I'm going to be very disappointed. The test powder is going to be VihtaVuori N540. So the VihtaVuori 500 series powders are their high energy series. These powders are generally good for some excellent velocity. Now, this powder, we have already tested it in our Mark 262 cloning series where we're shooting the 77 grain Sierra Match King. Very similar bullet. We made it all the way up to 2,800 feet per second out of my 18-inch White Oak Armament barrel. So outstanding velocities with 77 grainers in 223. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my normal format. We generally choose 2 powders and load up 25 rounds with each powder. But today, N540 is going to be the only powder. What's going to change is that the first 25 shots, the first 5 groups, we're going to shoot with my suppressor on the gun. The second 25 is going to be without the suppressor. I need this suppressed versus unsuppressed comparison for my upcoming barrel harmonics testing. So that's what that's all about. So load data for this powder is a little bit all over the place. This combination is listed in the Berger manual, but they show a max charge of 23.0 grains. If we look at the Sierra data for their 77 grain Sierra Match King, they show 24.9. So that's a huge difference, almost 2 grains of difference between the Berger manual and the Sierra. If we look at the VihtaVuori website, they've got data for 3 different 77 grain bullets, a Lapua Sinar, a Sierra Match King, and a Sierra Tipped Match King. And over there, their max charges are high. 24.5 up to 25.5. So I don't understand why the Berger manual is so low with this combo. As I mentioned, we tested this powder in the Mark 262 series. We went all the way to 25.3 grains with the Sierra Match King and and managed not to blow our face off. So I don't know what Berger's data is all about, but I feel comfortable exceeding it. Hopefully it doesn't get us into trouble. So here's the actual load data. We're going to go up to 24.5 grains. We're backing off a good bit from what we shot in the Mark 262 series. If you're looking for a demonstration of absolute max velocity with this powder, that Mark 262 video is probably better for you. Today we're backing it off a little bit. Maybe we'll get to 27.25 or maybe 27.50. I don't know. We'll see, but we're not going to be pushing it quite as hard as we did with the Match King. I also want to cover a lot of ground here, and it relates back to that, suppressed versus unsuppressed testing. I want to cover a lot of ground. So we're going to shoot half grain increments, which puts us starting at 22.5 grains. We're going to stick with 2.260 inch standard magazine length, overall length. For brass, we are going to be shooting some Lake City, and this stuff has already been primed with CCI number 41 primers. These guys right here. So I think that pretty much covers it. Not a whole lot of drama here, right? We've shot this powder with this weight class of bullet. We've shot this bullet already with several other powders. So it should be pretty straightforward. I'm going to weigh out my charges because our brass is ready for powder and bullet. I'll probably check in with you over at the bullet seating die, but we're going to be on the range in no time here today, folks. So there is one thing I want to show you here really quick. A viewer sent me an email and said he wanted to send me a funnel with an adapter for 223. Look at this little guy. He made this guy, went out and bought a funnel to make sure he made it so it fit just right, but this guy just squeezes right up in there and it fits a 223 case like a glove. Yeah, here it is. Just slides right down on there. It is perfect fit. I don't know what his YouTube username is, and I don't want to use his real name without permission, but GH, thank you, sir. This thing is sweet, and this is a huge upgrade over what I've been using. He was thinking that it might fit the funnels I use. Like this is an MTM, or out of an MTM Universal, and it definitely does not fit. Kinda, maybe. Not really. Nah, it doesn't fit very well at all. Kind of get it to stick, but nope. And little Lee funnel, not a chance at all. So thank you, sir, and I am glad that you went to the trouble to grab a funnel and include that as well, because nothing I had on hand would have worked. I've had my eye on the new Lyman set. Lyman came out with a precision funnel set that's priced halfway decent. I think it's 25 or 30 bucks, and it's kind of a similar thing where there's different attachments that go on the bottom of the funnel to fit different cases really well. I may end up getting one of those because that's definitely a part of my reloading setup that has needed an upgrade for a very long time. Using poorly fitting universal funnels is a tough way to live. So this will be my first experience using a funnel that fits really nice, and I have GH to thank for it. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so I've spared you the bullet seating die setup today. It all dialed in no problem, just like our previous video with this bullet. These bullets have pretty consistent me-plats, so 2.260, 2.261 is generally what I'm seeing here when measuring to the tip. But I did jump forward to our max charge to test it, and it is compressed, and it's kind of pretty compressed. Here's one of those I seated, and it's out at 2.270. So as I get up to our last couple charges, I'm gonna have to chase the bullet seating die just a little bit to compensate for the compressed charge. So nothing unusual, just something to keep your eye on. That's it, folks. Let's go ahead and get out on the range. All right, folks, it's time to get started. I've got a target at 100 yards. We are going to start with the suppressor on the barrel. I was shooting a few warm-up shots a minute ago to double check my zero and warm up the gun, and I shot a few without the suppressor, and it looks like when I take off the suppressor, it shoots about 4 MOA high. So I didn't really allow for that on my target setup, so I'm gonna have to make a scope adjustment. Don't forget to remind me, once we finish with the suppressor, I need to go 4 MOA. This is an 18-inch white oak armament barrel, chambered in 223 Wild. I've got my Caldwell chronograph out, and it's pretty close to dark. We're gonna be bumping up against dark. I think we got enough time to shoot, but the chronograph hates this time of day, so I actually brought out the light kit for it. I've got the little LED light kit for the chronograph, so hopefully we'll get good velocity numbers all the way. So let's get started. First up is 22.5 grains. All right, so that was a great start. Pretty decent group. Velocity nice and low, 2480. So moving on, 23.0. All right, so that was a pretty ugly group. Let's hope things improve. 23.5 is next. All right, that last group had me worried, but boy, it tightened right back up. The group opened up a touch with that last shot, but still pretty good group. I didn't expect that second group. I thought we'd shoot nothing but frickin' half-inch groups with these bullets and this powder. So that had me a little bit worried. Moving right along. 24.0 is next. Yeah, so I kind of screwed up that last group with the last shot as well. So the velocity may be just a touch higher than I thought it might be. I thought we'd be right at 2700 or maybe just a touch over, but it looks like we might be up around 2750. But brass still looks good. Everything's fine. Moving on here. 24.5 grains. Okay, so we got a couple halfway decent groups. Velocity 2740, the brass looks fine, so pretty good deal. All right, I need to get this suppressor off of here, let the gun cool down for a couple minutes, and then we'll start all over again. All right, so I got the suppressor pulled off, and I don't think I've ever shot this barrel in this configuration. I've always had a Silencer Co. flash hider on it. And maybe that's why we're seeing just this much point of impact shift, because I didn't remember having quite so much point of impact shift in the past with this gun. So maybe just pulling off the flash hider is making a difference. All right, I want to go ahead and, so we're going to be shooting high. And I think it's going to be about 4 minutes, but I want to adjust the scope 3 minutes. All right, that's a 3-minute adjustment. Let's see where that puts us. All right, 22.5 grains is first. All right, so we had that one wild shot out there to the left. Okay, next up, 23.0. All right, so another really gross group. Okay, next up, 23.5 grains. Okay, we got 5 shots left, 24.5 grains. All right, so this target's a little more dramatic than I was expecting, I gotta be honest with you. And I'm glad we went with the 3 MOA scope adjustment, because it looks like that was just about perfect. That's the actual shift as we took the suppressor off, was 3 minutes up. So, all right, let's get back to the bench. All right, so this is normally the spot where we have a look at some brass. There's nothing to see at all. Not the first hint of a pressure sign on any of it. So let's not waste our time. Let's go ahead and have a look at the groups. So our top row with the suppressor was pretty darn good. We had two groups in the 0.5s and 2 groups in the 0.6s, and then that one weird group that was 1.2 inches. Now we do see something like this occasionally, but there's usually like a dramatic shift in point of impact. Like sometimes you'll be shooting groups that'll be going along, and then you'll shoot a super crappy group that kind of wants to double group or start stringing them high and low, and then the group right after will collect on the higher end. So it's kind of a point of impact transition area. There may be a little bit of that going on here, but it's not enough to explain that group, I don't think. So that was weird, man. Definitely found a charge weight to avoid in my gun, no doubt about it. Then again, maybe it was a reloading mistake on my part. That was the worst standard deviation. Extreme spread of 54, which was the worst. So maybe I started daydreaming when I was weighing those charges or something. I don't know. But otherwise, great stuff. Great standard deviation numbers. We made it all the way up to 2740 feet per second, even though we were not really pushing it that hard. So with the suppressor, it was all good. Now, taking the suppressor off had a much more dramatic effect than I was anticipating, because we've shot some decent groups with this gun without the suppressor. So for my barrel harmonics testing video, this was supposed to be an example of a gun that didn't see such a dramatic difference, but boy, we sure did. The only explanation I can come up with is I've always run this Silencer Co. flash hider on the gun since it was new. I don't have a direct thread adapter for the smaller threads. You know, I've got the normal 30 cal thread pattern on my suppressor on the direct thread adapter. So I've always run this quick detach flash hider and then the Silencer Co. thingy that allows you to screw onto this in my suppressor. So maybe just this little bit of weight of the Silencer Co. flash hider, which it really isn't a terribly heavy device, is enough to calm this barrel down. And without it today, it really kind of went wild. These groups were ugly. The best was 1.012 inches, and the worst was the first one at 1.966 inches. So the average group more than doubled, and this is just another good example of, you know, what's going on and what we're hoping to explain with the barrel harmonics testing. So I think that's pretty much it, folks. Not a whole lot to talk about here. This one was pretty straightforward. So I guess that's where we'll leave it. This video, I've got a 6.5 Grendel video going up today as well. And the next video you see will be the barrel harmonics video. It's probably going to be a week. I've got a ton of ammo loaded for that. This should give you some indication of the scope of the testing I'm planning to do in that video. This is 350 pieces of 6.5 Creedmoor that I've loaded up to test all of those different muzzle devices for that video. So be patient, it's coming next, but I want to get it right. All right, that's it for this one, folks. I'll see you next time.